Saram students, welcome. Today let us continue with the lesson of geography. Lesson number 6, Major Landforms of the Earth. Children, in our previous class we had learned that the surface of the earth, it is not same everywhere and it has infinite variety of landforms. And the landforms, they are a result of two processes. Within the earth, a continuous movement is taking place, and the first or the internal process, it leads to the upliftment and sinking of the earth's surface at several places. And the second or the external process is the continuous wearing down and rebuilding of the land surface. And we also learned about the important features of mountains. That is, the mountains, they are any natural elevation of the earth's surface. And the mountains, they may have a small summit and a broad base. It is considerably higher than the surrounding area. And some mountains, they are even higher than the clouds. The slopes are steep and less land is available for farming. And the climate of the mountains is harsh, so it is thinly populated. Now children, let us learn more about the mountains. Let us learn about the different types of mountains and how they are useful to us. Now children, let's begin with the lesson. Types of mountains. There are three types of mountains: fold mountains, block mountains and volcanic mountains. Children, how many types of mountains are there? There are three types of mountains. And what are they? They are fold mountains, block mountains and volcanic mountains. Now let us learn more about these mountains. Now children, let us learn what are fold mountains. Fold mountains, they are one of the types of mountains. And children, do you know how are they formed? Some mountains, they are formed when two large land masses, they push against each other. So they are called as fold mountains. And the Himalayan mountains and the Alps, they are young fold mountains with rugged relief and high conical peaks. And children, what do you mean by rugged? Rugged means uneven or rough surface, and relief, it means the difference in elevation or height between the different parts of the earth's surface. And here you can see high conical peaks. Peaks means the top of the mountains. So they have the high conical peaks. So what is the important feature of the young fold mountains? The young fold mountains, they have rugged relief and high conical peaks. And what are the examples of the young fold mountains? The Himalayan mountains and the Alps. They are the examples of young fold mountains. And the Aravali range in India, it is one of the oldest fold mountain systems in the world. And the range, it has considerably worn down due to the processes of erosion. So children, which is one of the oldest fold mountain systems in the world? The Aravali range in India. It is one of the oldest fold mountain systems in the world. And due to erosion. Erosion means the wearing away of the earth's surface. So children, the Aravali range in India, it has considerably worn down due to the process of erosion. Children, here in these images you can see the Aravali ranges in India. And the Appalachians in North America and the Ural Mountains in Russia, they have rounded features and low elevation, and they are very old fold mountains. Children, which other are the examples of very old fold mountains? The Appalachians that are in North America and the Ural Mountains that are in Russia. They are also an example of old fold mountains. And which other old fold mountain is in India? The Aravali ranges in India. They are also an example of old fold mountains. And what is the important feature of the old fold mountains? They have rounded features and low elevation. Children, here you can see the Appalachians in North America and the Ural Mountains that are in Russia. And you can see their rounded features and the low elevation. Now children, let us learn about block mountains. What are block mountains? Block mountains, they are formed by splitting and sliding of the large blocks of land. So children, how are the block mountains formed? The block mountains, they are created when large areas, they are broken and displaced vertically. And the uplifted blocks, they are termed as horsts. and the lowered blocks, they are called graben. Children, here in this diagram you can see the block mountains. So how are they created? They are created when large areas, they are broken, and you can see how they are displaced vertically, and you can see the uplifted blocks. What are they termed as? They are termed as horsts. And you can see the lowered blocks. What are they called as? They are called as graben. So in this way the block mountains are formed. Now children, let us learn about volcanic mountains. Volcanic mountains, they are formed due to volcanic activity. This means some mountains, they are formed when molten rock from deep inside the earth, it rises to the surface, forming a volcano, and they are called as volcanic mountains. Children, here in this diagram you can see the mountains with a large opening at the top, and through which the gases and lava, that is the hot liquid rock, they are forced into the air, and they are called as volcanoes. So children, how are volcanic mountains formed? Volcanic mountains, they are formed due to volcanic activity. And Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa and Mount Fujiyama in Japan, they are examples of such mountains. So children, which are the examples of volcanic mountains? Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa and Mount Fujiyama, that is in Japan. They are the examples of volcanic mountains. Children, here you can see Mount Kilimanjaro and Mount Fujiyama. Now children, let us learn the importance of mountains. Mountains, they are very useful. They are a storehouse of water, and many rivers, they have their source in the glaciers in the mountains. Children, what are the mountains? They are a storehouse of water, and many rivers, they originate from the glaciers in the mountains. So many rivers, they have their source in the glaciers in the mountains. And reservoirs are made, and the water is harnessed for the use of people. Children, what do you mean by reservoir? Reservoir, it means a large natural or artificial lake that is used as a source of water supply. So reservoirs, they are made, and that water, it is harnessed or it is controlled, and that water, it is made in use so that the people, they can utilize that water. And water from the mountains is also used for irrigation and generation of hydroelectricity. Children, what do you mean by irrigation? Irrigation means the supply of water to land or crops to help the growth, typically by means of channels. So the water that comes from the mountains, it is used for irrigation and also for generation of hydroelectricity. That means when the water, it flows, then it helps to rotate the turbines, and this helps in the generation of hydroelectricity. And the river valleys and terraces are ideal for cultivation of crops. Children, here you can see the river valleys and you can see the terraces. So what are ideal for cultivation of crops? The river valleys and terraces, they are ideal for cultivation of crops. That means for growing crops. And mountains, they have a rich variety of flora and fauna. Flora means plants and fauna means animals. So children, the mountains, they have a rich variety of flora and fauna. Here you can see the images of different plants and animals that are found in the mountains. And the forests, they provide fuel, fodder, shelter and other products like gum, raisins, etc. Children, here you can see the images. So what do the forests provide us with? The forests, they provide fuel, fodder, shelter and other products like gum, raisins, etc. And mountains provide an idyllic site for tourists. They visit the mountains for their scenic beauty. So children, what do mountains provide? They provide an idyllic site. And so the tourists, what do? They visit these mountains for their scenic beauty. And several sports like paragliding, hang gliding, river rafting and skiing are popular in the mountains. Children, here you can see the images. On the left hand side you can see paragliding and hang gliding, and on the right hand side you can see the images of river rafting and skiing. So children, can you name some of the popular sports in the mountains? paragliding, hang gliding, river rafting and skiing. They are the popular sports in the mountains. Now children, let's recap what we have learned today in this lesson. Children, today we learned the three types of mountains: fold mountains, block mountains and the volcanic mountains. The Himalayan mountains and the Alps, they are the young fold mountains. They have rugged relief and high conical peaks. And the Aravali range in India, it is one of the oldest fold mountain systems in the world. And the range, it has considerably worn down due to the process of erosion. And the Appalachians in North America and the Ural Mountains in Russia, they have rounded features and low elevation, and they are very old fold mountains. And we learnt about block mountains. That is, block mountains, they are created when large areas are broken and displaced vertically. The uplifted blocks are known as horsts, and the lowered blocks, they are known as graben. Examples: the Rhine Valley and the Vosges Mountain in Europe. And we learnt about the volcanic mountains. That is, volcanic mountains, they are formed due to volcanic activity. Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa and Mount Fujiyama in Japan. They are the examples of volcanic mountains. And the mountains, they are useful to us. The mountains, they are a storehouse of water. Many rivers, they have their source in the glaciers in the mountains. Reservoirs are made and the water is harnessed for the use of people. Water from the mountains is also used for irrigation and generation of hydroelectricity. And mountains, they have a rich variety of flora and fauna. The forests provide fuel, fodder, shelter and other products like gum, raisins, etc. Mountains, they provide an idyllic site for tourists, and several sports like paragliding, hang gliding, river rafting and skiing are popular in the mountains. Children, can you name this sport? Yes, it is skiing. Now children, let's have a quiz. Multiple choice questions. First one. Mount Kilimanjaro is in dash. A. Asia, B. Africa, C. South America. What's the option, children? Yes, it is B. Africa. Mount Kilimanjaro is in Africa. Second one. The Himalayas and the Alps are examples of dash types of mountains. A. Young fold, B. Block, C. Volcanic. What's the correct option? Correct. It is A. Young fold. The Himalayas and the Alps are examples of young fold types of mountains. Third one. Which one sport is not popular in the mountains? A. Paragliding, B. Skiing, C. Football. What's the correct answer? Correct. It is C. Football. Football is the sport that is not popular in the mountains. Fourth one. Dash mountains are created when large areas are broken and displaced vertically. A. Fold, B. Block, C. Volcanic. What's the correct answer? Correct. It is B. Block. Block mountains are created when large areas are broken and displaced vertically. Very good, children, those who have guessed all the answers correctly. Children, today we have learnt about three types of mountains and how mountains are useful to us. We shall learn more about this lesson in our next class. Till then, goodbye, children.